Good evening and welcome to the PI show, Melbourne's only show about personal injuries. I'm here with my co-hosts Tony Carbone, Martin Smith.
Good evening.
Both of them are older and wiser this week. They've reached milestones in their lives, so we expect some sort of wise comments this week.
Thank you, Harry.
Tonight we're going to discuss the topic of rehabilitation, and anyone who's injured and is injured either in a work accident or transport accident has the benefit, I think, of work cover or TAC providing rehabilitation. Why is this important?
In Victoria, we've got the beauty of having those two schemes, which are hybrid schemes. Those hybrid schemes give you some statutory entitlements, which I've spoken about previously on the show, and also some common law entitlements. The statutory entitlements are set out in the statute, and as Harry had previously told you, that's the Transport Accident Act. And in that Act there's some...
You study it most days, don't you?
Thank you, Harry. Part of that Act says basically the 10 commandments for the Transport Accident Commission. They're called the objectives of the Commission and also the functions of the Commission. It's interesting, in the objectives of the Commission, which is one of the ground rules, it says to ensure that the Transport Accident Scheme emphasises accident prevention. We all know that with the Transport Accident Ads. And also effective rehabilitation. That's in the same sentence. You go down to section 12 and it says the functions of the Commission. And to jump to the key functions that we're talking about tonight, it says to provide funds for a program referred to in subsection 3 and for rehabilitation programs for persons injured in transport accidents. The next point, which is further down the page, subsection 3, and these words are important. It says, it shall be the duty of the Commission to design and promote, so far as possible, a program designed to secure early and effective medical and vocational rehabilitation of persons injured as a result of transport accidents, to whom or on behalf of whom the Commission may become liable to make payments. That word shall in statute means it's a must do. And if you go to the next page, it says, the provision by persons on behalf of the Commission of rehabilitation services, disability services, and the next part, assisting in obtaining employment. So in those early sections, it sets out an objective and a function of the Commission to look very seriously at the question of rehabilitation.
And Marty, that is replicated in the work cover legislation
yes,
as
again,
well.
Another hybrid system,
Yep.
statutory entitlements and
Yep.
common law.
Yep.
But what does that mean in practice? Because you know, someone's injured in a car accident. Let's say they've had drug or alcohol related problems.
Yes.
I think it's interesting, does TAC provide drug and rehabilitation services? Do they help people? What do they do in practice?
Interesting you say that, Harry. On the website I checked out this afternoon, under their authorised rehabilitation services, again this is focusing more on the medical side of it. It has there under drug and alcohol services provided by agencies which are contracted to the Department of Human Services Drug Treatment Services. So what they'll do is they've got a policy, and that policy will be to try and rehabilitate the person who has that problem.
Okay, and that and what about people getting back to work with TAC?
Vocational rehabilitation is another direct...
in practice, I mean, does the employer, what happens if the employer doesn't cooperate? So say someone's injured and TAC and the injured person want to go back to work and the employer just doesn't cooperate. What do you think happens in the transport accident?
They have a number of actions they take in those cases. They have occupational therapists that will contact the employer. They'll assist the employer and pay the wages of the injured victim.
Well, Martin, it helps a lot when they're paying for wages,
Correct.
doesn't it? And it encourages most employers to take them back.
They'll take them back on a work trial. Yep. Some of the things, again, going to the Act, they'll do an initial rehabilitation assessment. They'll do a functional assessment. That means they go to the workplace. They do a workplace assessment. They do a job analysis. They give advice to the employer concerning job modification. They do vocational assessment. They do...
So they make a bona fide effort to get people back to work if it's possible.
And pay the wages.
And there's an incentive for the employer
Yes.
to cooperate, if you like. So in your experience, it's rare for an employer not to cooperate?
Well, if somebody addresses you in a proactive sense and says, this is a work trial to try and get somebody back, we'll cover the wages, we'll modify his workstation, we'll assist him in modified duties, we'll do all that at no expense to the employer. That makes a hell of a difference.
How long does that last, Martin?
Vocational rehabilitation, I won't say it's endless, but they modify and try and get somebody into an appropriate position.
We know people are entitled to get payments under the legislation for 3 years.
Up to 3 years.
Up to 3 years.
Unless you're catastrophic, unless you've got
over
50% impairment, then it's for life in effect.
Yes, and they assess you then every 5 years.
Every 5 years. But in most cases, it's less than 50%. So after 3 years, the incentive drops off, if you like.
Correct. But if they proactively approach it early on, you know, some of the other things which I find quite interesting, children or teenagers that are injured and about to enter into the workforce, originally they weren't picked up as vocational assessment. Housewives that are home having children or looking after the house that want to go back into the workforce that are injured, they also have entitlements.
But they provide educational support.
Correct.
So if you want to do a course, they'll provide help for you to doing the course, including payment of fees.
Yes.
And so that's another avenue people can pursue.
They'll help you with your curriculum vitae, they'll do a return to work plan, they'll provide aids and appliances if you've, for example, had issues that you need aids or appliances.
And Tony, this all translates into work cover, but work cover's a more comprehensive scheme in the sense that anyone who's injured has been at work.
That's correct.
So
and there's an obligation on the employer and the insurer to try and get people back to work.
And the other change is the employer's got a statutory duty to hold the job open for 12 months.
That's correct.
So you have to hold the job open for 12 months. And also the other issue is people have to make a reasonable attempt to go back to work, otherwise they can lose benefits.
Well, what normally happens is the employer, in conjunction with the claims agent, which is a work cover claims agent, will usually make an offer of return to return to suitable work, alternative work, and the worker should take that to the doctor, explain what the offer means.
And if the worker doesn't want to cooperate, what happens?
They lose their benefits, they lose their entitlements.
So if it's unreasonable, if they make a genuine fair income offer and you refuse, they say, see you later.
Even if the offer appears unreasonable in the sense that the duties can't possibly be done by the worker, they've still got to go to the doctor, explain what the job offer entails, and make some response to the insurer.
But the job offer can't be just counting paper clips.
No, it's got to be a fair income job. It can't be just any
a made up job.
Yeah,
Can't be a made up job. That's all we've got time for. We're coming back after the break to discuss other parts of rehabilitation.
They tried to make me go to rehab. I said no, no, no. Yes, I've been black, but when I come